Hello, everyone. This is Malika and Audrey, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Unwind. This is our 10th episode. Oh my goodness, we have had 10 episodes. It's our 10th episode. We're so excited. Our last episode was about self love, and we got a lot of love in return. So, we're very happy. Thank you so much for everyone who watched that video and gave it so much love. We're very grateful.
I think it's such a reoccurring. I think it's such a reoccurring topic that, like, new year, new like, oh my god, I'm gonna love myself better this year, and that's why our previous episode did really well. but apart from that, but yeah, we had some news on our previous episode, and we talked about how this one was going to be our last episode for a while, right? As you know, after this episode, we're going to take a break, not too long, so that we can keep you on your toes a little bit, plan some more interesting stuff and how we can go forward with this podcast. And also at the same time, so before we end the season, please remember to subscribe to our channel and like this episode. Watch all our previous episodes if you haven't, keep up to date. And also at the same time, like, comment if you have any thoughts, if you have any other comments, just comment down below and we'll see all of that.
Yes, we are going on a break from you, but we are preparing on our back end to give you a lot more in the coming season. So stay tuned because a lot more is coming. But we'll talk about that in the end of the podcast as well in a little bit more detail. But now we'll talk about what today's podcast will be about. I'm so excited. This is something that I have loved to talk about to Audrey a billion times, and I want to talk to you guys with her today about the same topic. I'm in Dubai right now, and I have to settle to a new place and meet a lot of people, which requires me to introduce myself. People who do not know me and what I do and where I come from. And I was telling Audrey how easy it seems to introduce yourself, but how difficult it can be at the same time to be confident about what you've done before and project yourself in the best light.
You know, when we've come to this day and age, right? We have heard all about like the hustle culture, like going out, making like all the income in the world. Okay, not all the income, but like making as much income as you can, hustle basically, right? And I think a majority about that is a lot of people usually ask like, what makes a hustler so successful? And I think the most common answer that we usually get is understanding how to sell, right? It doesn't matter what you're selling, right? But the most important thing is that you need to know how to sell, regardless of selling yourself, selling your company, selling what you do, selling your services or your products. I think that's universal, right? When you go for job interviews, job applications, when you meet someone at a networking event, it's all about selling yourself. When you meet a new friend, like the first thing a person will want to get to know you is you, right? It's all about selling yourself as a person as well. I think that's like selling yourself is the most important, like knowing how to sell yourself is the most important asset that you can learn today, in my personal opinion.
No, I agree. I feel like a lot of people think about it in like a very casual setting. Like even I have friends back home as well, and like when we talk about something as basic as a LinkedIn profile and like the need to have one in today's day and age, a lot of my friends go like they don't have much to add on their LinkedIn profile, or like Malik, I've not really done much to like add anything. Like I'd rather not have one. So I feel like Audrey is right, but I also
Yeah.
feel like selling, like introducing yourself also adds credibility. Now that I'm in Dubai, like I have to build my credibility here as someone who wants to do marketing or someone who wants to do something in this country, right? And I've not lived here before. So I think I have to introduce myself in a way that builds credibility on my end, so people want to continue that conversation with me. And that includes making new friends,
Right.
convincing someone to give you a table at a favorite restaurant when you don't get it. Like it could be extremely small things, but you have to be able to present yourself in the best light to be able to do that. Like Audrey, have you ever like had issues with like introducing yourself, or like you've been have you undersold yourself ever?
So many
So many
times.
times.
Like too many times. Like I didn't understand the asset of selling myself until I got into my first job, right? Until my first corporate job. I never liked sales, right? Growing up, I told myself that like, oh, and no matter what I do, I don't want to get into sales. Like that's the number one thing that I never wanted to do. But then while going into industry that I liked also much, and you would think that it could get pretty technical, like finance, right? You realize that 90% of the time you're selling, right? Like, be it selling a fund or selling a product or selling your services, even as an investment banker, like that, you're selling. You gotta sell yourself and your business to get business. But there's been so many times I undersold myself. I told people like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, right? I think that's the first thing you always say, like, it's not that big of a deal. Nah, it's not what it is. You shrug it off. You like, you push it away. You push compliments away. And I think that's the first number one rule in underselling yourself. You push compliments away, or you push or you downplay the achievements that you get.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Majorly. I feel like a lot of people would like for example, a girl like who's not very secure about her look, something as basic and artificial as that, right? And someone's like, "Oh, you look so pretty today!" Like, "Oh my god, I love that dress on you," because the girl might be so insecure. Like, she would be like, "Oh, she's lying. Like, I'm not pretty," because she thinks she's not pretty. Like, but I like beauty. Like, it's such a overdone cliche quote. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, but it is true. It truly does. And if someone finds you pretty, you should literally own it and be like, "Yes, thank you so much. I look pretty. Oh my god, thank you." And I truly feel like that is like a one very basic example, but that would apply to your job and your career and anything else that you do. If you go to a job interview and you're not confident yourself that you're qualified for this particular role, like when the interviewer asks you like, why are you fit for this role, you would not be able to give a very confident answer, and you'd get something very general as in like, yeah, I've done this degree and like, like it suits me and this is what I've been told to apply for, and like no one would really give you the job. But if someone for me, like who might not even have the skills that you have, but if I go into that interview and present myself in the best light in terms of like like I can do this, I've done this in the past, like this is how I can add value, no matter if those things would be like put in a more glamorous way than they are in real life, I would get the job because I believe in myself.
One question I would want to ask you then is that, like, we talk about selling ourselves, right? We talk about, okay, you have to present yourself in the best light possible. We have to kind of like put yourself out there and like, have that confidence as well, first of all, to, when people compliment you, you take it, right? You show off the confidence and people, own it. And immediately there will be that charisma around you. But when it comes to what you say, right, about selling yourself, how do you sell yourself? I think that's the number one question that everybody gets, right? Like, what are some tips and tricks would you recommend or would you advise for people who probably might not be as confident, or maybe love to ramble when they get a bit too nervous, and then kind of lose that, memento that they have with the person they're trying to connect with?
No, I think that's a very, very good question. I'll give you two examples. Someone who has done a lot in their life, and for me, like a lot is in a subjective topic, but a lot in terms of like, so for someone who is a fresh graduate, has done like one or two corporate jobs right now, and done some curriculars in uni in terms of having a club and being a president, that person will still be like, I have something to say, and they might be able to ramble, as I said, because they get nervous. So they might not be able to sell themselves in a more structured and very well put format, but they will still have stuff to talk about. There's another problem. There's one problem. There's another problem where people think that they've gone to university, just done the bare minimum, and gotten the bare minimum job, or worked with their family business or whatever they've done, and they think they've done nothing in their life, for example. Then when they ask to present themselves, they're like, I have nothing to say. In both cases, what I would recommend in terms of tips or tricks is just write down every single thing that you have done in your life. And that could be from your 3 years old, from your 5 years old, from 10 years old, from whatever you can remember. How you learned skating, how you learned swimming, anything that would make you feel like I have overcome an obstacle. Like I was scared of water, I had hydrophobia, and I was able to learn swimming at 11 years old to compete, or like because I was jealous of a kid and I had to like beat him up, or like in that swimming race I learned swimming. Something as stupid as that. So when you go to an interview, you can talk about that 11-year-old self, who overcame an obstacle and learned something which was very daunting to him. My point is that do not think that any of your achievements is small, be it your 3-year-old self or your 22-year-old self or 27-year-old self. So take a piece of paper, sit down for 5 hours, or have someone sit with you and just talk to that person about everything you're very proud of, which could sound very silly, but you just think about it as an exercise. Have you participated in a conference then you can talk about that in an interview and be like, if that interview is for something like sustainability, in the conference of sustainability like 3 years ago, you can be like, by the way, like it was interesting when I was in uni, I went to this conference organized by, and then you name drop the person. And then you just talk about one thing that you've learned from that conference. Now, or if you think about it, all you did was participate or like just had a seat in a conference that you potentially was mandatory to attend for you. So it was nothing great on your end. But for someone who has not met you before, for him, like you have attended something which is very close to him and you've learned something valuable from it. And that sounds so glamorous and that helps you present yourself in a better light. And that's just so simple. But if you really put thought into what you've learned from those things, all things could be combined in helping you introduce yourself in the best light possible because all of those things build character. They build who you are, who Malika is as a person.
I think what helps me is that you listen, first of all. When you engage in a conversation, I mean, it helps me, right? It could help everyone differently. Some could go off talking about yourselves first. Some could go off listening first. And I do the latter, right? I listen to the for instance, for example, if I have someone that I'm very interested in getting to know, or like very interested in, getting someone, to network with, I usually listen first. So if it's a panel that they've been on, or you kind of know where is their background, right? I think the number one rule of thumb in networking is like always research the people who are going to be attending, right? Especially the speakers or the important people that are going to be there, or especially the people you want to meet. I think those are most important. So like when you're faced with these kind of people, right, do some research about them, get to understand the work that they do, show interest in the work that they do, right? And if you want to sell yourself to them, sell yourself first by knowing what they do, because at the end of the day, people love talking about themselves, right? So when you go up and you ask them, first of all, like, I really like that book that you did, or that book that you wrote, or that podcast that you created, about this topic that I'm personally very interested in. You hit common ground there, because to them, they're like, oh my God, you're interested in one of my works, or you're interested in what I've done. And then they'll be curious, right? Okay, what do you like about it? Or what do you not like about it? Why don't we talk more about it? I think that's what gets their interest, first of all. And I think it's very, very, some people, I think you have to be patient, right? You have to be patient. Sometimes you have to bite your tongue a little bit and let them talk for like the first 20 minutes. Let them talk, let them be open and show, in a sense, like vulnerability in terms of the connection with you. And then you step in and be like, hey, yeah, I really like that. This is who I am. I come in and you start talking about yourself a little bit, how you can relate to them, their contributions, what they just talked about in the last 20 minutes, if they got family. I think it's all of this like little cues that you pick up in networking. And like, especially in like selling in a deal, if you're trying to get their business or you're trying to get a job out of them, I think it's very important that you connect with them on a more personal level, and then you level up in terms of that professionality. I mean, that's the tips and tricks that I could potentially provide.
I think that's more on the networking side when you want to network with someone and get to know one another. I think, but even to get to that stage, Audrey, you have to be very confident and secure with who you are to be able to go up to, like, for example, you, and then even like ask you a question, you can talk about yourself. And I feel like unless and until you are confident about who you are and reassured that you've done enough, or you've done enough to like just be happy with who you are at one point in life and know that you can have a lot more work to do, then only can you go up to someone and ask them about what they do and listen to them, and then basically. But that's on the more advanced level.
That's
Of course, like on the beginner level, and I told Audrey, I don't think confidence is something that you're born with. I was not confident before at all. Appreciate and recognize what you have done, write it down, and think about the best possible way to say that to people. But don't undersell yourself, because everyone has done something. It's more about like how do you tell that to people so that you seem valuable to like talk to and continue that conversation.
I think in order to build that confidence, like what you said, Malika, right? It all starts with, having the confidence to go out there, right? What I said previously was just tips and tricks to, go network if you want to go network. But like for you to build that confidence in the first place, right? I think what helped me the most is just literally being open to talking to anyone, right? Go greet your barista when you go get coffee, right? Go start a conversation about where they're from. You know, what's the worst that can actually happen? They reject your communication, they reject your reach out, right? And I think rejection helps you grow stronger in terms of building that confidence, right? The more you're used to getting rejected by people who do not want to talk to you, the more you're going to be okay with getting rejected. And then you're not going to care whether the next time you go out to someone, whether they're going to reject you or not. Because if you want to talk to them, they don't want to talk to you. It's their loss, not yours. And, you know, at the end of the day, you gain something from it, which is now you just got another rejection, right? You build up that confidence. And if they want to talk to you, then you gain a friend, or you gain a potential network, or you gain a potential somebody that could to help you out in the future, right? And I think that's really important on how you can build up that confidence to go speak to people, regardless at an event, at the pub, at the bar, in the club. You know, I think anywhere is possible. Just go up to someone, speak to them, and if they reject you, it's a rejection and it builds your confidence. I think it all starts by overcoming that rejection.
It
It
all
all starts with
starts
that
with
one
a high.
rejection.
It all starts like, Audrey, I have met people on flights. I've met people on luggage belts when I waited for my luggage, like in a new city. I've met people, cafes, on the streets, like the weirdest places. And now they're one of my best friends. Like it's crazy. And it all starts with, oh, where do you get that tea? Like an icebreaker, which could be extremely simple. Oh, I like that dress. Or it could be a compliment. Or it could be more about, you see like a bubble tea in their hand. It could be like, oh, I love that brand. Or like, where do you get the bubble tea from? You start a conversation. So it's more about having that confidence to just say a little small hi with a smile on your face and be open to conversation. And I totally feel like if someone
Exactly.
is having difficulty with, like, introducing themselves, just do that 100 times with different people. Literally, you have to push
Yeah.
yourself to do the most uncomfortable thing on this planet, and you'll be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm used to doing this. And then you just build confidence just like that.
I think at the end of the day, it's all about taking that first step, right? And meaning that one person getting that first rejection, and then and then it's snowball effect. The moment you get used to that, the rest comes easy. Of course, it's going to be a little hard at the beginning, but the rest is going to be easier. You just have to have faith, right? And believe that with every passing rejection, with every passing hi that you speak to someone, a conversation and a good there's no bad that can come out of it. Only good things that can come out of it. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's a big topic, and we have a lot to discuss in terms of how to sell ourselves better. I'd probably do a masterclass on this one day, if you guys subscribe to the channel. But I think that's the end of how to sell yourself better. Please try it out. If you have any questions about the same, we're happy to talk about it in the comments, and we can take those up. So please do write to us if you need our help.
That wraps up How to Sell Yourself and episode 10 of season 1. And we are very excited to come. We've been planning a lot. We've been planning a lot for the second season, and we already we have a roadmap. Just like how we have a roadmap for ourselves, we have a roadmap of where we want this podcast to go, and a lot of big things are coming. I don't want to give you too much of a high hope, but a lot of big things are coming. We are planning. We are going back to London this weekend, so we're both finally going to be in the same country for once, and we can finally have a good girls' time and plan this podcast properly. And also at the same time, just want to shout out to a really big handful for all of our friends who really listened into this podcast. Really shout out to that one person who kept commenting on literally almost all of our YouTube
Akram,
videos.
we love you. We love you. Akram, thank you so much. You've been very kind, and we are noticing, and we love you. That's it. Thank you.
I know. And also shout out to my friends back in Singapore as well. Evans, I see you. I've had friends who come on to they text me and they say I've just listened to your podcast. It's been really amazing. Or wow, I didn't know you take long walks like that. It's things like that that really show that they do listen, or at least they stay till the end. And I'm really grateful for that. So I'm really happy that people do listen to our podcast and that we are bringing value to the people that we want to bring value to, at least. And I'm just really proud of ourselves for that. I'm really happy and thankful for all your support. I'm really happy. Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, that is the very, very, very end of our season one, episode 10. It has been a blast. We've had so much fun recording. It has just been something very unexpected, something we're very, very excited to take ahead, and very excited for what's ahead as well. Like, even for us, it's all very new. We're very open to feedback. So let us know what we can improve from season one, so we can take that into account for season two. But we will have our season two coming up in March. Audrey, is that right?
Yes, we have a ballpark date that it's going to be released in March. So look out. We're going to be back in March, and Let's Unwind is going to come back this year in March 2024.
Yeah, but that's Audrey and Malika signing off. Season 1, episode 10. We love you. Thank you so much for watching the episode so far, and we will see you next time in March. Much love. Bye.